Welcome to the 2023 FIBA Women's Asia Cup in Sydney, Australia. Today, it's the mighty force of Japan going up against up-and-comers, the Philippines. It's game day 2, Group B on the 27th of June, as you can see on your screen. I'm Julia Montesano. Joining me in commentary is coaching legend Laurie Chiswick. And Laurie, of course, we sense Japan going as favourites, but I think we're in for a pretty energetic game today. Both teams like to play pretty up-tempo basketball.
Well, Philippines are coming off a mighty loss to the Australian team last night, but they'll have learned from that game, and we know that they always bring energy, they always bring effort, and so you have to approach each game as if it's a brand new slate, an open script, and they'll really want to go hard after Japan.
So you saw the schedule today. First up, we have this game, and then after this, we have Chinese Taipei and Australia. And you can see the standings for Group B. Australia are on top after that big win that Laurie alluded to. Japan second, Chinese Taipei third, and at the moment, Philippines fourth, looking in that relegation sort of zone. So not great signs for them, but let's see if they can bounce back today. So we're going to get ready for the team warm-ups next, and Japan on your screen now. Of course, they're looking for a 6th straight Asia Cup title. They know all about winning. They had a great win yesterday against Chinese Taipei. They looked electric is the word once again I'll use, Laurie. They got a 41-point win there. How do they back up the win today?
Oh, they were so impressive yesterday and fun to watch, and I hope they continue, and I'm sure they will play that style of basketball, but they have depth, they have quickness, they run the floor, they spread the floor, they attack the paint, they knock down threes, they pretty much do everything, and as you mentioned, they will be totally focused on each game, but each game moving forward to get to the pointy end and try and win that 6th straight Asia Cup.
So Japan looking very good, very ominous early on if you're an opposition team looking at Japan, coached by Toru Onska as well, knows all about winning these sort of tournaments too. And we are going to cross over to the Philippines warm-up up next. And we, of course, know they had a disappointing loss to Australia last night, Laurie, but Vanessa De Jesus, who's running on the court now, she was their one shining light last night, I reckon.
She was great. She had 18 points and like you say, was the one shining light. But the thing about maybe they'll take a little bit of heart in that Japan is slightly smaller, and when I can say slightly smaller than the Australian team, Australia averaged 182 centimeters, Japan 176. So maybe the Philippines will look at that because other than Anaman, they don't have a lot of size, but they do have energy, they've got heart, and they, as I said, they will go hard.
So now we're going to go to the national anthems of Philippines and Japan courtside.
Please remain upstanding for the national anthem of the Republic of Philippines.
So those were the national anthems of Philippines and Japan. Both teams coming into the centre of the court and shake hands before they compete against each other on the court. Some gift exchanges as part of that as well. We've loved seeing that all throughout the tournament, and we'll continue to see it as well. The referees on your screen now, always a big task for them, but we're well equipped with some good ones. Ji-Yun Lee, Woo-Shing Chan and Callum Welch. So 3 capable referees in the capable hands today. Let's take a look at the Japanese team warming up. As you can see, they do everything with fiery pace. They just go 100% all the time. Stephanie Mauli, I think, the one to watch today from their point of view. Laurie came up with a double-double, nearly a double-double yesterday, 18 points and 9 rebounds. So she's the one that the Philippines might struggle with given her height.
She was very impressive, and really their whole team was impressive, and they're very well drilled, very well coached. And on top of that, as you guys mentioned yesterday, they look like they enjoy their basketball, and that's just so important. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they bring to Gay against this Philippine team. Again, you would think that they go in as strong favorites, but they always want to get better as they hit the court. And if we look at that starting lineup, you mentioned Mawali. Takada, we know how important she is, and Yamamoto pushing the pace out there. Akaho, well, we can't say enough about her and her game.
And Hayashi, the captain, rounding out the starting 5. And you can see Toru Onska on screen there. Always a very calm demeanour about Toru Onska. Never seems to be too upset, too animated. He just goes about himself in a very relaxed manner.
I always like that when you see the coaches and you just wonder if they're churning away inside or certainly, you know, he hasn't been challenged this tournament. But, yes, he appears to be a very relaxed coach.
And now we cross over to the Philippines warming up. We said a lot about Vanessa de Jesus, but there's a few other players that could be pivotal tonight. Anamam, we thought, was a bit disappointing last night, and she could be the real pillar today, given, like we said, a bit of a shorter Japanese team. So the starting 5, De Jesus, Bernardino, Pontejos, Animam, and Camille Clarin rounding out that starting 5.
We do need some more from Anaman. She's the biggest player on the court. She needs to keep herself in the game. She can't afford to get any foul trouble. And then Vanessa de Jesus, well, she needs to control the tempo. She needs to really take charge of this team. I'm sure we'll see some high on-ball action and some two-man game between her and Anaman, but they need to use their pace. That's the one thing, that they're not tall, so they need to use their pace and their energy to come anywhere close to this Japanese team.
That's Coach Nenad Vucinic for the Philippines, just giving some last words to his huddle. He's got a big job ahead of him. We know how disappointing they were last night and how they go about bouncing back. So the key to each team getting a win today, what do you think's the key for Japan and what do you think's the key for the Philippines, Laurie?
Well, I'll start with the Philippines. I think they just have to back themselves in a few things, play with a bit more confidence. I think they were totally intimidated coming out and playing against the Australian team yesterday. So whilst it's a big ask, there's no pressure on them. So they have to take care of the ball, use their speed, as I mentioned. And Japan, well, they just have to do more of what they did yesterday. They looked really sharp. You know, they just need to play their style of basketball, run at every opportunity, spread the floor, and keep everybody involved.
So both teams coming onto the floor now, getting ready for tip-off here in Sydney, Australia for the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. We had a big game early on. Korea getting the job done there. And now Japan and the Philippines going head-to-head. A big day 2 of basketball getting underway with the second game of the day. We're tipping off in the FIBA Women's Asia Cup battle between the Philippines and Japan here in Sydney, Australia. And it's the Philippines who win the first tip. De Jesus with ball in hand. Anamam now. Let's see if she can deliver early on. And scoops that one in, exactly what we wanted.
That is exactly the start that not only she would have wanted, but the team. If they can get her involved early, that'll go a long ways to securing a win.
Yamamoto pulls the trigger for an early 3. That one just rattles out. De Jesus looks like she will be controlling the tempo for much of the game, as was the theme yesterday. And that one just falls off Clarin's hands. So Those skill errors are not the ones you want to welcome in the game early on.
Well, you can't afford them. You can't afford, then that was really an unforced turnover, and you can't afford those. You need to bring the ball up the floor and at least put Japan under some sort of pressure defensively.
Hayashi now. Oh, just gliding through the lane, and that's a great start for Hayashi.
She did that with ease, going through the Philippine defense.
De Jesus feeling the pressure from Yamamoto. That'll be a great matchup throughout the game. Bernardino finds a bit of space and bakes it in.
See, we didn't see any of that yesterday against the Australian team, and that's a good way to start, and it's a sign of a good coach that was able to make those adjustments and bring that confidence to his team.
Akaho on the board for the first time today. You sense we'll be saying her name a few more times. A great three-point shooter. Clarin. Back to Animam, who decides to go up against Takada. And that one just rattles out. I think it was the right idea though. Hayashi pulls up for an early three as well, and she joins the party.
Oh, isn't that nice? A transition basket, a three, push the ball, feet set, nothing but net.
De Jesus, what can the Philippines do to respond? Down by 4 early doors. Animam thought about a long pass and now is a bit stuck. De Jesus there to help. Yamamoto just taps it out of her hands.
3 seconds on that clock.
She's just got to go. And that's not the result she would have wanted.
You can see Yamamoto just doing a great job of trying to deny De Jesus, and because she knows that she is the key figure for this Philippines team, so trying to keep the ball out of her hands and putting immense pressure on her.
Akaho for back-to-back threes. Not quite. So it's the 9th world-ranked team against the 42nd team in the world. Japan being the 9th ranked after finishing in that spot in the World Cup. They would have wanted a bit higher considering their Asia Cup success, as we mentioned, 5 in a row. And again, forcing the turnover.
Just not good spacing there. Brought a couple of defenders right to that center line. You can see a quick sub being made.
Clarin's just fumbled a bit early, so Hoson gets her chance on the floor. Hayashi. Takada there for the boards. Animam, that's better. It allows Hoson to go. Hayashi matching up closely. Bernardina allows her some space, but it's cut off by Mauli.
Certainly the movement by the Philippines is much superior to it was in last night's game, the start of it, where they just looked really, as I said, intimidated. De Jesus. Ponteos for an early three. There you go. Really good use of that little down screen, coming off, feet set, hands ready. Almost got a deflection here. So Japan will make some substitutions on the floor. And I think Ponteos probably was inserted into the starting lineup just for her energy that she brings, that shooting prowess. Ponteos also captaining the side today for Philippines. Mauli pulls the trigger. And the sub, Hoshi there for the rebound. Back to Mauli, and this time she drains it. You can't afford to give them too many second chance opportunities because they know how to hurt you. And then a little bit of a soccer off the floor by Mauli. But Japan did a good job of forcing right into that area where you want to try and trap. Oh. Yes, it had already crossed the center line, and so you can't throw it back. Violation called. Again, an unforced error, and they just have to cut those out of the game. Hoshi. 2 screens that allows Hoshi to go baseline, but then she just loses the ball at the critical moment. There was a foul off the ball, though. And
Japan look like they're going to make another sub, and in fact it will be the first time out of the game. So Japan 11 leading the Philippines 7. It could honestly be a bit of a worse scoreline for the Philippines. They had a few sort of nervous moments, but they've kept composed throughout. So
yeah, I like the way they've come out. Let's hear what the coaches has to say.
Anyway, on our break, don't stop. CC, why are you stopping here? Huh? Why are you stopping on after the line? Stop. Just go. Go around. Just go around. Jack, nandito na siya. Away na ako. Okay? As much as possible, don't stop dribbling that ball. Again, if you're do the banana cut, and then let's see what the reaction is.
Vanessa, bullshit, because you're asking it. Yes, bullshit.
Hey, on offense, automatic ball screen on one side now. Do a ball screen on one side right away. You have to move para makatanggap ka. Hindi na, ikaw lalapit ka naman. Let's go, together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Together!
So you sense a bit of frustration in the Philippines huddle early doors. They've had some good moments, like we mentioned, this Pontejos 3, but apart from that, they've got to improve. So,
well, I think if they cut out their unforced turnovers, and I like the offense, the flow that they're running, and the movement that they're having, but, you know, this Japan team, you've got to make sure that you block out. And as we said, no second chance opportunities. Easier said than done.
Exactly right. Here's a second chance right in front of our eyes. Mauli travelled. It's a little bit of an unforced error there.
She's a joy to watch, Mauli. I like her bounce. I like her IQ. I really enjoy watching her play.
Bernardino now. Again, Mauli's feet just getting in the way. De Jesus double teamed. Animam now. Shot clock ticks below 10. Animam trapped by the Japanese defense, but gets around them.
We did not see any of that yesterday. Animam didn't even get on the score sheet yesterday. I know she had 7 rebounds, but much better start from her.
Hirashita trapped by Animam, and De Jesus on the floor, just trying to get the ball out of her hands. Hosts on there to help. A good stop by the Philippines. And now just 2 points within the Japanese team. Hosok could take the lead. Not quite there. Hirashita, Yamamoto. Dumps it into Takada. Didn't quite see it coming. It allowed Bernardino to win the jump ball.
Takada did a great job initially of getting position with her body, but she just wasn't able to hold it. The Philippines worked really hard to get around her. But they still have the ball on the baseline right now.
So the Philippines will have a substitution as well. Pontejos coming off, and Kabinbin playing her first minutes of the game. Positive start from Pontejos. Her leadership's been very good. Hoshi from the corner drains that one. So Japan get a bit of a roll on.
Extended pressure here. The clock's running.
Mauli with great hands to get it back down the Japanese end of the floor. But again, she's almost moving too fast for herself today. They'll get another chance at it though from the baseline. Hoshi. Takada. Yamamoto. Gives it to a 3x3 teammate, Mauli, who gets it back to Yamamoto.
Wow. She just saw that gap. She had a little fake going right, took her strongly to the left as that gap opened up.
They just make their own space, Japan. They look like they have so much time. And it allows Yamamoto to go to the line. That reach from Kabinbin you can see on your screen. And we'll see Monica Okoye on the court for the first time today for Japan. And Animam taking a spell. Mika Kacho heading on to the court.
Castillo is also number 0 for the Philippines, is on the court for the first time. Both coaches really electing to make some subs early.
It's quite an interesting tournament to coach. There's so many games, and you don't want to sort of put your best team out because there's risks of injuries and getting tired and things like that. So it's a very hard tournament to coach with all those back-to-back games. Serrada also on the floor. De Jesus. Yamamoto wearing her like a glove. But De Jesus gets around her for the time being. That shot falls short. Hoshi. Mauli back out to Okoye.
Wow.
Hirashita, this will be a fantastic passage of play. Okoye there for the offensive board and the M1.
You just saw a flood of red jerseys running down the court, and that ball movement, and Muali just out of the corner of her eye realizing she would catch it too deep under the basket. Just a little tap to her teammate who then kicked it to the corner. Great team play by Japan.
So Nanako Todo into the game. Hirashita will take a seat. Okoye can't complete the M1, but Japan have gone on a 7-0 run, so Philippines need to get a score on the board and get it quickly. Yamamoto fouls Kabinbin.
I like the fact that Japan is trying some different things too. You know, they probably. It's just a good game to be able to practice those things, to be able to pull out, you know, again against maybe a higher ranked team.
Castillo. Cacho. Serrada now, trying to get around Todo, and does so successfully.
Really nice move, nice in control.
And just like that, Okoye can't quite convert. Kabinbin now. A lot of voice out there on the court. Serrada. De Jesus. Back to Serrada. Can she get back-to-back baskets? Just loses the ball. Cacho now. Yamamoto with the clever hands.
Shot's got to go up.
De Jesus knows that, but just can't quite get it in the ring. Hoshi.
Nice.
Okoye, great basketball once again.
Well, it's just that transition basket. Defense is back, but not really set. And so to get it and attack it early, great result for Japan.
De Jesus into Cacho. Okoye doing a lot of work since coming onto the floor. And a great bit of defense there by Todo.
Toto really came across that split line to help. She saw that her teammate in Okoye was just putting the pressure on and was perhaps getting beaten, but she really was instrumental in causing that turnover.
So both teams making a range of subs. 3 on, 3 off for both sides. And you can see Miyazaki back onto the floor. Guided by Luna Oza, who came on for the first time. Here is Miyazaki once again. Motohashi also on for her first minutes. Okoye from the corner. Just falls short. Motohashi just by herself picked up the rebound. And now dumps it into Takada. Bernardino came from nowhere. And now off she goes down the Philippines end of the floor. Needs some help. Gets it in Castillo, who's just adjusting a ponytail. Now pulls the trigger for a 3. Just short. Emil Clarion on the bench there. Takada. Just looking for an option. Okoye now. Dumps it into Miyazaki. Switches to Takada, or sort of switches. Miyazaki. Trying to work again with Takada, but Philippines read it better. And Kabinbin can go for the fast break layup. Instead, the pass was just over Castillo's head.
Great push by Kabinbin. We know how quick she is and just a pocket rocket getting in there. Got her feet in the paint. Just wasn't able to make a pass at that tempo.
So Castillo will come off the floor, and Pontejos back on. That's a good sub by Coach Patakino, I think.
Well, as we said, you need to continually have fresh legs against this Japan team that runs and pushes at every opportunity. And the Philippines are doing the same, I must say, going back. They're just not quite as proficient.
Hayashi. Miyazaki. Just lost it. But Motohashi with it now. Takada there for the rebound. Motohashi gets another chance, this time from the corner. That's nothing but net.
As we said, if you give them second chance opportunities, chances are that they're going to score.
Bernardino nearly loses it. Pontejos for a three of her own.
As you mentioned, good insertion into the lineup, Pontejos.
Takada, Hayashi. Okoye up against Animam. Goes to work on her, but Animam's hands were too good. And Bernardino caught in two minds. 40 seconds left, Japan leading 23-14.
She knew straight away as soon as that whistle blew. It was like, oh, I got caught there. Definitely a travel.
It's been a good start from the Philippines. They only managed 34 points in total last night and now 14 in the opening quarter. Hayashi, though, adds to Japan's tally. Bernardino driving against Okoye. Japan were too big on that occasion. So shot clock and game clock are pretty much level.
That's why we can see Japan here just settling for the last shot of the quarter, not going to give the Philippines any option to get a comeback shot.
Hayashi long two. Takada there for the offensive putback.
That was absolutely perfectly timed, that shot, because it just gave enough time that if they missed it, you had an offensive rebound and a putback, what we saw, but didn't give, if they missed it and the Philippines got the rebound, didn't give them enough time to get back. So well planned, well thought out.
At the end of the first quarter, it's Japan 28, leading the Philippines 14. So you can see the stats on your screen, Laurie. What sticks out to you?
Well, the shooting percentage of Japan, 50%, 43% from the three-point line. That's impressive. That hasn't taken them long to work into this game at all. I have to say, though, Julia, I've been super impressed. I know the Philippines are down by 14 right now, but compared to what we saw yesterday, they're a different team out there. And I love it when you see a team respond to I mean, that was a massive loss to the Australian team, and to be able to respond and come out and play a different style, more your style, where you're not taking a backward step, and you know, if they can stop, as I mentioned, their unforced turnovers, that nice curl of Pontejos coming off and feet set, ready to go, and that's what they want. But Japan, well, again, they're setting the pace. They're doing, you know, with Japan, I like that it's not just from the three-point line. They're looking at penetrating, pitching it to receiver spots, people posting up. They're doing it in a variety of ways, and that's really impressive.
So Japan have been the more impressive team to start off with, but like Florrie said, Philippines still right in this one. As long as they can keep it going, we have a good contest on our hands. The QR code on your screen has all the streams, schedules and scores you need to keep up with the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. The app is Courtside 1891, so download it now on the App Store and on Google Play. Hayashi on screen there. She's Japan's top scorer with 8 points so far. And for the Philippines, Pontejos with the 6 points. So pretty even scoring spread we see early on. We know both teams have used their benches quite readily, and you can see Fajardo getting on for her first minute. She's about to inbound the ball. And gives it to De Jesus. Tip off in the second quarter. Japan 28, leading the Philippines 14. De Jesus puts a bit of pace on that drive and gets fouled on the way in.
De Jesus has been a great addition to this Philippines team, and she's She plays for Duke University, and she just got naturalized in May, so just in time to make it here and join the team, and she's been an integral part, and I feel like she gets better each game as she gets more used to her teammates.
So misses the first one. She's yet to score this game. She had 18 points yesterday against Australia. Pops the second one in. That's her first score for the game. Padakino will be very happy to have her on the board. Miyazaki, Mauli. Japan just running around that three-point line, really spreading the Philippines' defense. But Adamar won out that time. Bernardino sees nothing ahead of her, so just rises above Yamamoto. Adamar there for the boards. Pontejos, you know she likes this range, instead drives, loses the ball. Bernardino just lifts herself over the defense and gets herself a bucket.
Great effort at the defensive end, and then to push it in the second effort on the rebounds.
Miyazaki, Mauli. Try to get around Adimar.
Wow.
Oh, it's a great feed to Takada.
Great court vision, great cut by Takada.
De Jesus wanted to use that space. Instead, Pontejos again. Not this time. Hayashi in the corner. Mauli just juggled out of her hands, and Adimar again in her breadbasket gives it to De Jesus. Double teams. Adimar's there to help. Bernardino goes under Mauli. She's had some really clever baskets to start this quarter.
Well, it is, and the fact that Japan are really aggressively doubling De Jesus when she comes off that on ball. Everybody else has to be ready because they're going to have to receive that ball and score.
Hayashi, Takada, Motohashi now. Japan ball. It's Coach Toru Onska on screen. Offensive rebounds, you can see 8-1 in Japan's favor. They're really dominating the boards. Miyazaki. Mauli pulls the trigger. Bernardino there for the Philippines. De Jesus off and running. Trying to get around Hayashi. Pontejos. Bounce pass to Bernardino. Fajardo now. Shot clock ticks down to 5, so she's got to do something, win something quickly. Shot clock down to 1. Mauli's hands get in the way. Good defensive pressure from Japan. And just like that, Mauli finds herself in space on the offensive end. Great transition.
Well, there's too many people that stop thinking that it was going to be the shot clock violation and taking it out of bounds, but you can never stop.
Especially against this Japan team who only run. They don't know anything about stopping. De Jesus. It was a good move. Adimar scoops it back in. And now, once again, Hayashi to Motohashi. And a good rejection there from Pontejos. This time they got back to help.
Yeah, great effort. Great effort to run back. And that was a real, that was almost, it was a 2-on-1. You thought it was pretty much an automatic basket. So really good hustle by Pontejos.
It was right there with Motohashi. Bang! Motohashi did not expect that coming. Now Pontejos on the bench taking a seat. Both teams rotating again. Yamamoto back on the floor. Hoshi as well. Takada. Yamamoto pulling down the boards. He'll get another offensive rebound for Japan. Yamamoto in space. Hayashi found herself some space as well. And there's another 3.
What a great drive and penetration and dish by Yamamoto. She got the defense to collapse and then really rock solid pass out to her teammate.
De Jesus. Mauli this time tasked with guarding her. De Jesus just rises above her. And Hayashi can get off and running for Japan. Another long pass. This time De Jesus read it. So it'll be a Philippines ball. Maoli just contesting it. And we'll have a timeout called by the Philippines. Japan 35, leading the Philippines 19.
And I think that timeout was called because that is a fast pace that Japan is playing right now. Every time they get a defensive board, they are just pushing it down the throats of the Philippines.
Let's head into Pat Aquino's huddle.
On this transmission right here, we have manual. Masyado kong actually lang natin that para may pag-mantin siya mag-set ang pick right away.
Malaki tao ni Vanessa.
People jump kasi selling up so much. So defense. That's why pag umangat ka, wala na tayo.
So pwede nilang ganito. Nandito ako sa tao ko eh. Napasikat yung tao ni Jack, kinasahan. Ako na ang kuha. Para sa ka na ako. Sabihin mo sa akin na ikaw.
Just in CC, safety.
Don't sag again. Don't sag. So
Kaya one-on-one.
Individual stuff.
don't do it so much.
They want dribble.
So coming out of the timeout, we can see some fast transitions here by Japan. It's been the trademark of their game, Laurie Chiswick, just running up and down the floor and a lot of two-way running, which is important.
Well, they put so much pressure on the defense so early. You know, you absolutely have to think of your defensive transition. You have to be back. You have to be ready. You have to protect the paint. You have to protect the three-point line.
And you have to keep giving the ball to Hayashi if you're a Japanese fan. 11 points for the game so far. 3 3-pointers, which has been particularly impressive. Bernardino found some space, but got trapped. Hoshi. Oh, and a big rejection by Ho-Son. I think it was a late foul call in the end.
Again, though, we see a 2-on-1 situation there. As I mentioned, it is just about rebounding and running.
Nearly all ball, but I think she just sort of caught her hand in the end. So it'll be a Japanese ball from the baseline. Okoye back on the floor. Hayashi takes a seat after 11 points so far, like we mentioned. Okoye with 4 points to her name. Yamamoto. Stops and props. Okoye gets it back. And we'll get it back once again. Hoshi. Good defense there by the Philippines. Okoye still fighting, but Bernardino eventually breaks free. Needs some help getting through that backcourt. Eventually, De Jesus comes to the rescue. Oh, and just puts the step on Okoye and just can't finish off her good work.
Just a little inside-outside move. It's a pity that didn't go in. She'll be disappointed with that.
De Jesus with the 1 point for this game. And Clarin with the foul there. Just pretty much shoving Yamamoto out of the way. There's no other way to combat Japan. They're just so quick. You've got to stop them somehow. Leading 35-19. 5 minutes, or just over 5 minutes left to play in this opening half. She's had a few attempts from that range. Hasn't quite been successful. Ho-Son. Guarded by Akaho. Haven't seen much of her this game. Bernardino. De Jesus. Shot clock ticks down to 5. Clarin. Okoye. We'll get it back from Akaho, and now Yamamoto.
Without Anaman on the court, it's really hard to get any offensive rebounds for the Philippines.
Okoye. Still not sticking for her. De Jesus. Ho-Son. Puts the step on Akaho this time. And pulls the trigger. Serrata there for the boards, but just fumbles it over the baseline.
So as compared to the beginning of the game, the first 5 minutes, where the Philippines, to me, were moving, they were setting some screens for each other. If you just watch that last play phase, 3 people were standing, and they were trying to get a 2-man going, but there was too much standing. The Japanese don't have to shift, therefore it becomes very, very easy to block out, get a rebound, and run. They need to shift the defense more.
Again, a few subs from both teams. Hirashita there for Japan. We see Ariman back on the floor, so a chance for them to get a few more rebounds here, the Philippines, and a few more defensive stops. Okoye to Akaho, though. That's not going to work for them. It's going to definitely work for Japan, though.
Miscommunication on defense. 2 players went to 1. Nice roll to the basket and a finish.
De Jesus with some pace this time, but Japan are right where they want them to be. De Jesus! De Jesus!
Maybe that'll ignite her and get her going.
Oh, Yamamoto just goes under the defense, and Okoye, again, just missing that one.
Okoye right now is 0 from 6 from that 3-point line.
She's definitely had plenty of attempts. This time, shoved Animam under the ball, so Philippines from the sideline will take it.
Yamamoto certainly, you know, penetrating, carving up the defense and getting her the ball. She just hasn't been able to hit.
Kabinbin back on for some pace from the Philippines end. Finds some space against the bigger Okoye, and she'll go to the line for 2. But she just falls behind the padding. Stadium comes to a bit of a hush. And that was a heavy hit.
Gosh, it made a big crash. I hope she's okay.
See the replay here, just fall right in between the padding and the signage. But she's back out there on the floor. You heard a bit of a round of applause in the background. And she's going to take the free throws, so very brave. That would have hurt.
Well, very brave to attack Okoye with the difference in size, but she just, a lot of endeavor, and is rewarded with her first foul shot.
Takes the Philippines total up to 22. Japan on 37. Makes both free throws. So they're keeping themselves in this, the Philippines.
It's an even quarter so far.
8 points to 9, Japan's way. Takada. Hirashita for 3. Yamamoto just came out of nowhere and gets it back from Hoshi. Checks her feet from the corner. Mai Yamamoto! She's been trying to feed Okoye for the 3, but she said, I'll go myself, I reckon. You see why. Hoshi hits the deck, but we'll get it back. De Jesus in the way. Yamamoto for back-to-back buckets. We'll go to the line instead.
You have to just love the way this Japanese team plays. They play with such energy, and it looks like they are enjoying it. If you look over at their coach, he looks like he's enjoying it. And I know it's much easier when you're up by 17 points, but I just like the way they play and how they look out there.
Coming off a 41-point win against Chinese Taipei yesterday, Japan, and that woman on screen, Mauli, was a star in that game. 18 points, 9 rebounds. Yamamoto at the free throw line now. 9 points and 7 assists for her yesterday, and she's already climbing up the score sheet today. 5 points, make that 6 points. 3 rebounds, and that big three-pointer she just hit.
Well, Hirashita, you talk about the depth of that team. Hirashita had 10 points yesterday, and she's hardly seen the court today. Such is their depth and the amount of rotations that they can have.
Yesterday, only one player stuck on 0 points. for Japan. Everyone else scored. We sense it'll be a similar sort of pattern today. Kabinbin going up against the much bigger Takada once again. Gives it to Anumam, who does the job. Motohashi, sorry. Todo. Mauli. Now Miyazaki up against Kabinbin. Todo! They're really hitting the threes well, Japan. Big difference. Well, not a big difference. They did it well yesterday too, but they seem to be emphasizing it more today. De Jesus wants a piece of the party, and there she goes.
That's certainly what they need, the Philippines.
Takada. Todo. Takada against Kabinbin. Motohashi from the corner. And Takada easily gets that rebound. Todo to the line. So Japan 45 leading Philippines 28. You can see that swat there from Ponteos. Animam getting a bit frustrated as well. Todo misses the first free throw. 3 points for her today.
Well, Animan, you know, you mentioned she had 6 points yesterday. She has 0 yesterday, 6 today already. But I just feel her involvement in the game is so much more, just rebounding, defensively, all those things. Big improvement.
Kabinbin now, looking for Animam this time. Goes past her. De Jesus wants to get around Miyazaki. Shot clock down to 5. Ponteos! Never looked like missing.
That's her third 3, Ponteos. 3 from 4 right now.
Miyazaki. Todo. Miyazaki checks her feet and gets the instant reply.
That is such good player and ball movement. They are so in sync. They know exactly where each other are when there's some penetration, where the receiver is.
Ponteos to Kabinbin. Tries to get around the taller Takada. Gets it back. Kabinbin. Takada. Looks up for Motohashi instead. Back to Miyazaki, and they can reset here. 7 seconds to play in the opening half. They can have the last say. Get themselves up to 50 points. Motohashi for 3! That's not going to work. But a comprehensive opening half from Japan. The reigning Asia Cup champions again flexing their muscles. A fabulous half by Toru Onska's team. Patakina would equally be pretty happy. They only scored 34 points against Australia yesterday in total, and at the half it's 31 points.
Exactly. So that's a real improvement for the Philippines and what the energy they've brought and just the endeavor that they've got out there and certainly not taking as much of a backward step.
So at halftime it's Japan 49 leading the Philippines 31. Stats on your screen now. Laurie Chiswick, what sticks out to you?
Well, again, the 3-point shooting for both teams is relatively high, and we've seen the Philippines take some good shots. Certainly the rebounding. Japan is out-rebounding, and a lot of that is not only their defensive rebounds, but offensive rebounds. They are crashing the boards and giving themselves lots of opportunity.
You can see the top scorers there as well. Hayashi, 11 points. I guess we'll speak about her in the second quarter best players because she was everywhere. But the Philippines also had some good moments, Laurie. And in that quarter, it was Japan 21 points to the Philippines 17. So they kept themselves right in that one.
They did, and they, you know, again, that's the confidence building. Ponteos, we know, got a couple of really good threes in there. And I thought that De Jesus got herself a little bit more involved in the game as well. So, you know, there's really some good signs to them. But wow, you know, the Japanese, they make a sub and a whole lot doesn't change. It's still more of the same, pushing the ball, getting yourself to the basket, shooting the threes. We know Okoye sort of struggled a little bit, but eventually found her rhythm as well.
And you think with an undersized sort of Philippines team that the bigs for Japan would be dominating, but the Philippines are keeping them in check, and it's been much of the responsibility of Animam this game. She's really stepped up her performance from last night.
Oh, absolutely. And as I said, you know, regardless of what the points she's got, and I think she's got 6 right now, she's just been so much more involved, you know, trying to be a shot blocker, trying to be in there to help defensively. But I love, like I said, the endeavor of Bernardino got a nice block. Ponteos, they're just, their energy and their effort is so much more.
So the Philippines, like we said, keeping themselves in it, courtesy of Animam. But we're going to take a quick break here in Sydney because it's halftime. Japan 49 are leading the Philippines 31.
Unique character. Unique chemistry.
FIBA Basketball World Cup is the peak of the game.
It's the toughest competition in the basketball world to win.
That is why I will be there.
Because when you win for one,
You win for all.
So some fresh players on the floor for both teams. Lin loses it. Oh, that is a clutch shot there from Chen. The little Hail Mary went all the way down the bottom of the net. This time feeds Mauli against Wu. The spin move was great. Back to Haku. Really sharing the ball around here, Lebanon. Using up all the shot clock time, but Hahn's there to reject it. You just can't shoot on top of her. You cannot.
She did a great job. This is what the A division is about, the top division, and this is what one of the top teams in the world is about. This is what they need to aspire to.
And there's Hahn. Once again, just so dominant.
Vanessa De Jesus is putting on a show. She's knocked down 4 of 5 threes, and the Opals have got problems. Koenig exploring. Nicholson pass down low. Garvin working backdoor, adds another 2.
Seconds left now, or just under 10 seconds now for Lebanon. Haku just puts up a prayer. Oh my goodness! Rebecca Haku points to her head. It's all about mindset here for Lebanon. They are right in this game. Now China really running with some tempo now. Mong Lee takes it all the way and one! And the China fans say, count that!
Legend Walker hesitates, needs a pass, finds a pass, Beck attacks it, drops it inside, Davidson is blocked, doesn't get the roll, and Korea will get the rebound, and they get it back, and Davidson puts down the 2.
Miyazaki now. Motohashi, what a great feed! Welcome back to Sydney Olympic Park, and at halftime it is Japan 49 leading the Philippines 31. Third period about to get underway. Coach Toru Onska delivering his final messages along with Coach Pat Aquino as well. Laurie Chiswick, you've coached before at an international level. What would each coach be saying in those huddles right now?
Well, I think Japan want more of the same thing. You know, they've been pushing the ball well. Probably defensively, they want to try and stemmy the, 31 points. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot for the Philippines. That they want to really get on top of that. One thing I have been interested in with the Japan team is, so far they've shot 28 threes, where yesterday they put up 24 threes for the whole game. So they certainly are. They feel open, but they're shooting at a big percentage. And for the Philippines, well, I think Patrick Aquino would be really happy with his charges. I think if they can eliminate some of those unforced errors and make sure that they play with the same intensity, shift the defense around a little bit, don't necessarily take that first shot that comes up unless you're wide open, but shift that defense, because you know that pretty quickly you're going to be playing defense with this Japanese team, because their mantra is rebound and run.
We saw Hayashi on the screen just then. She's the top scorer for Japan at the moment with 11 points, 4 from 7 from the field. And for the Philippines, Pontejos, the 9 points, 3 3-pointers. So she's lighting it up from beyond three-point range. And she'll look to continue that trend because, as you mentioned, Laurie, Japan are just firing off from that three-point line. So let's see if the Philippines can get their game back on their terms. The third quarter is generally when teams the game starts to sort of fizzle out and really the winner sorts to sort of start to dominate.
That's right. At halftime, the coaches have a chance to talk, and I'm sure Toru Onska would have mentioned a few things that he wants them to improve this half, and sometimes fatigue starts playing a part in the second half, which then becomes really noticeable when you have a stronger team versus a lower ranked team. But we'll see what the Philippines come out with, because if they can continue in the same light, and whilst they may not win this game, but if they can look at winning these next couple of quarters, or at least staying really competitive, that's a good result for them.
So third quarter tipping off between the Philippines and Japan. Japan 49 leading the Philippines 31 in this FIBA Women's Asia Cup clash on game day 2. Yamamoto wants to get things started, but we'll have to do it from the charity stripe.
What an explosive first step that she has. So she just surveyed the defense, pounded it in, and really got by her defender on that first step and went strongly to the basket, but that's impressive.
Mai Yamamoto has had a really good tournament so far, 9.7 assists yesterday. Today she's got herself up to 7 points, 3 rebounds, make that 8 points. And they're not massive numbers by the Japanese team, but they all share it around. There's not going to be one that's got a 30 points, a 30-point piece or something like that. They're all sort of contributing evenly.
And she's one of the 8 players on this Japanese team that played at the World Cup last year, 9 months ago here in Sydney.
They've been to Sydney a few times in the past 12 months. They were here for the World Cup, now the Asia Cup. They were here for some friendlies as well. So they're quite used to the court here. Clarin, met by Akaho. Yamamoto, Akaho now gets rewarded.
Just uses her athleticism and her speed to beat the girls up the court. And there's another unforced turnover. Well, when I say unforced, Yamamoto did a great job of pressuring her and forcing that, but just a turnover that you don't want and don't need.
Here's Akaho just getting in the way of Clarin. And then on the offensive end, banking it in easy as you like. Yamamoto. Takada just flies over Mauli's head. It allows De Jesus to get up the other end of the floor. Animam, perfect.
Great no-look pass from De Jesus out there to her teammate Amaran, who's streaming down the court in the middle. And a nice tap from Bernardino.
Yamamoto able to rescue it. Gets it back from Akaho. Mauli wants it and gets it. Yamamoto to reset. Shot clock down to 3. Yamamoto pulls the trigger from 3.
I like how today she's becoming much more of a scoring threat. Yesterday it was all about facilitating and getting her teammates open, but she's really combining that today and looking at her own shot as well.
Getting a round of applause there from Coach Onska. That's great encouragement.
He's always so positive.
He is, isn't he?
You just see him on the sideline, and he rarely is, rarely looks grumpy.
De Jesus now backing into Yamamoto. Bernardino. Animam. Good hands. And guess who? Not quite the 3 this time.
But good ball movement. That was a good shot to take.
Akaho. Yamamoto. Bernardino again with the good hands on Mauli. 2 number 3s going head to head.
Bernardino is deceptively athletic. She's got some good hops on her and really can, get her hands in the way and yeah, deceptive.
De Jesus. Fouled by Yamamoto. And now Yamamoto, the leading scorer on the floor with 12 points, overtaken Hayashi with the 11 points. 3 rebounds and 2 assists. That's her second foul for the day. Bernardino. De Jesus. Again, pressured by the Japanese defense, just getting around Yamamoto and charging into her. She's so hard to get around.
Oh, isn't it? She just kept her in front of her, kept persevering. Every little move that she made, she kept her, stayed nice and low, and was rewarded with that little push off there. Good anticipation of which way she was going to go.
It's been a great matchup between those two, Yamamoto and De Jesus. They've been really physical and showing off all the moves, and so has Akaho with that athleticism to pop in the basket. So great start here for Japan. Philippines have only managed the 2 points so far this third period. Akaho up to 9 points just like that. Ponteos. Thought about Clarin. Got her in the end. Goes to work on Akaho. Takada pulls down the boards. Akaho off and running again. Too fast for her own feet. Oh, and then stepped out of court. They're trying to show off all the tricks in their party bag, Japan.
That last time down the floor on offense, the Philippines, they had some good movement. They had a bit of a stagger action coming off that screen, and it just was shifting the defense, which I think is a good thing. Their spacing ended up not being great, but at least they're getting some ball and player movement.
Animam now. Gets to work on Takada. Oza pulls the trigger and lets it fly. Good reward for Ozar off the bench, getting herself into the game.
Just a young 19-year-old, and that was a nice shot. She had her feet set nice and early, really caught and shot.
Hayashi, speaking of catching and shooting, this one doesn't get converted. Pontejos. De Jesus. A long-ranging pass to Animam. She has to hurdle it back into the court. Good defense there by Takada to hold her up, but Bernardino's there to help. And a good offensive rebound. De Jesus for 3. Takada to Yamamoto. Flying down the floor. Mauli this time. Mismatch against De Jesus, and she reached in.
It was a good isolation play by Mauli. There wasn't a lot of help going to be able to come from anywhere, so De Jesus really just had no option but to foul. That's her third foul, though. She'll want to make sure that she stays on the court.
Takada to Hayashi from the corner. Animam. Ozar wanted it long, but had to stop for a second. De Jesus. Up against Hayashi. Oh, goes for the reverse layup, and that's a classy finish.
It was. It was not only a classy finish, it was a classy drive, a little hesitation dribble just to get her shoulders past her defender.
Back-to-back baskets for Philippines. De Jesus up to 8 points. Yamamoto for 3.
There's that hop I saw from that we see from Bernardino.
Ozar had no one ahead of her, so went back. De Jesus. Pulls up and gets it to go.
Nice little string of baskets here by the Philippines. Brings it back to under 20.
8 points to 9 this quarter in Japan's favor. Philippines keeping right with them. Hayashi. Mauli. Bernardino reached in. It's hard for the Philippines. They are so undersized. They've got to foul. They've just got to stop them somehow.
Well, the first thing you probably need to try and do is get in front of them and hope that if they have to lob it in, you've got some sort of split line help. But Moali, once she knew that her defender was behind her, she was holding that seal really strongly.
Yamamoto. Mauli. Shot clock down to 5 for Japan. Mauli again gets an arm to her body. And the Philippines...
She just uses her body so well, you know, off that pick and roll. And if they're going to switch that's just an automatic for her. You know, I'm gonna seal, I'm gonna want the ball, and does a great job.
So 5 fouls now for the Philippines team. 4.5 minutes left to play the third period. So Mauli at the free throw line. Knocks down the first one. And we know how much of a starring role she played yesterday, the 18 points. Today she's up to 6, so very sort of different game. And same we've noticed with Harashita as well, a player of that caliber. They just really share the load. It can be a different player on any day.
Well, that's the sign of a team that's got great depth and plays selfless basketball, when any player on any given night can be the standout, or a handful of players.
It must be a very hard team to scout, I imagine. You sort of can't pick one player to lock down because they all play a role.
Well, that's it, and you can't do that. You can't say, well, we'll lock down Mauli and that'll really take away their scoring punch, because somebody else is just, you know, there's Takada to step up. There's Yamamoto can step up, as she has today already. So that's when I mentioned at first they have great depth.
Castillo for 3. Yamamoto. Look at the speed. Flying up the court, and Hoshi wasn't quite ready for it as a consequence. But even that, they're smiling. It was an error, but they're smiling, they're high-fiving, they're getting around each other, they're making changes, they're always doing something. And they lead 60-39. The Philippines would be happy with their third period so far, but they'd like to put some more scores on the board, and De Jesus, it's in the right hands to do that. Bernardino has had a really positive game, just loses the ball on that occasion, but it somehow gets into the hoop.
Great second effort. And then the running of Japan. Again, it's just relentless with the pressure at both ends of the court.
Okoye onto the floor. Hirashita. Bernardino there. And De Jesus can reset things for the Philippines. Okoye now tasked with guarding her. De Jesus gets under the defense, into the rack. Beautiful basketball. She's really had a strong third period, De Jesus. 6 points. Hoshi gliding through and finding some space of her own.
That's where you just see the Philippines defense is just a little bit of lack of communication, lack of health
Animam. Bernardino Castillo from three for some space and the M1! That's a big basket for the Philippines. Good confidence injecting basket as well.
And I think we've got to give a lot of credit to Anaman on that when she recognized that she wasn't going to be able to go all the way back, made a great pass out to her teammate Castillo It was Anaman to Ponteos to Castillo. Great teamwork.
So the Philippines with a bit of momentum now. A 7-2 run in their favor. Naturally, Japan makes some subs. The Philippines bring on some fresh bodies as well. Although the scoreline says 62-46, the Philippines winning this quarter, 15 points to 13. The M1 isn't converted. Todo. Miyazaki. Okoye. Oh, met by Animam, gets it back. Miyazaki. Asahina on for some minutes. Can't keep it in court. The Philippines bench up and about, the small crowd behind them as well. They're making a lot of noise.
Very passionate fans. We saw that yesterday when there was a big crowd here.
Hoson. Now Philippines moving with some speed. Keeps the ball on their side of the floor. Kabinbin pulls a long three. The rebound's taken by Cacho. Struggling to keep in the floor. And Japan again with some good pressure.
Really good pressure. She had nowhere to pass that and was just getting smothered. Ended up stepping out of bounds.
So 12 turnovers for the Philippines, but they're also forcing Japan turnovers, 11 for them. Miyazaki. Asahina, mismatch, and we'll head to the line.
So one thing that's really noticeably different between these two teams is that when the Philippines switch, and they are doing some switching, there's some really big mismatches, and they don't try and rectify that by as the play goes on, switching back or switching with somebody else. Whereas the Japanese players, anytime there's a switch and there's a mismatch, it's a three-way switch, and they know how to do that very well.
Asahina converts both free throws there. So just one player left on Japan's roster to score, and it's Harashita. Would you believe it, after the game she had yesterday? Kabinbin. Just can't find anyone to pass it to, so she goes herself. Castillo from the corner. Can't quite grab the offensive rebound. And Miyazaki, Motohashi, Asahina, met by Hoson. Motohashi gets it back. Rises above Animam. Kabinbin. De Jesus on the bench, so Kabinbin tasked with carrying the ball down the floor. We know De Jesus has got 3 fouls to her name. Kabinbin, shot clock ticking down to 5, and she somehow gets it to go! Magic tricks from Kabinbin, the bench love it.
I was going to say a little bit of over-dribbling, but when that's the end result.
Todo, Asahina, Kabinbin falls over. Okoye, thought about the 3, stopped and propped. Todo goes up against 2. The rebound here is important, and it'll go Japan's way. So just under 23 seconds left, 0.5 on the shot clock, so it'll be catch and shoot. Animam coming off for these last 22 seconds, and Sarada onto the floor.
This is really just a catch and shoot.
Asahina can't get it to go. Philippines ball. And they can get the last basket of this period and go into the 3-quarter time huddle with a bit of momentum and a bit of belief. Hoson. Guarded by Toto. Catcher there for the screen. Gives Hoson some space. Shot clock and game clock ticks down to 5. That one can't rattle in. Miyazaki, will she go for a long bomb? She does not. But a good fight back from Philippines in that third period, keeping things interesting. Japan, they just kept on doing what they've been doing this whole tournament and what they've been doing for the past 5 tournaments, really. But at the end of the third quarter, it is Japan 66, leading the Philippines 48.
Well, I would say that's a bit of a win for the Philippine team, making it, they stayed even with them. They didn't give up any space. It was a draw for that quarter, and that's good because that's what you want. But just looking at the percentages there, both teams are shooting the ball pretty well, and particularly Japan from that three-point range.
So you're right, it was an even quarter. The Philippines, how did they manage to get back into that one? I mean, what was the key to sort of their comeback, I suppose?
Well, I thought they were really stagnant at the end of the second quarter, and I thought they came out and they had a lot better player movement and were working to get each other open. And there were some great drives, penetrations, and then kicking it out to a three-point shooter. So I think that was pretty key in the way that they were doing it. And defensively, well, Japan missed a few shots, I suppose, that they made in that first half. But I think it was just the endeavor of the Philippines that kept them in it. Now, we've got 1 quarter to go. A big challenge for them to see if they can keep up that pace and not let Japan blow this game out. An 18-point deficit right now, whilst you don't want to say a good win, but when you compare it to last night and what they produced, this is a different team out there.
Certainly a big improvement on the performance they dished up against Australia. The QR code on your screen now is for the Courtside 1891 app. Stream schedules and scores from the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. You can see the Philippines team coming back onto the floor. De Jesus, their top scorer now, with 12 points to go with 3 assists, but 3 fouls as well. So Pat Akina will have to watch her.
And the other thing too is, if they lose this game, which it looks like, then that game against Chinese Taipei becomes super important as to, who finishes third and who goes into that relegation game. So again, you want to be getting better and better and improving and working on things every single game.
So fourth quarter tipped off in Sydney, Australia. 66-48 is the scoreline. Japan with an 18-point lead. Miyazaki from the baseline to Toto.
Philippines have thrown a bit of a zone out there.
Asahina from the corner. Just worked past the zone. That's the skill they have. They can play against any defensive set. De Jesus, also pretty good at penetrating the defense. Hoson. Taking her time. Philippines love a bit of a dribble. Sarada. Fajardo. No awareness. Shot clock ticked over. Coach Onska loving the intent from his team. Out of the three-quarter time huddle. And we're already going to have a sub for the Philippines. Animam will come on. Sarada off. Animam with the 8 points and 4 rebounds this game. 7 rebounds against Australia last night. Okoye. Again. De Jesus just lost her shoe. Doesn't know what to do, whether to pick it up or whether to go in for the rebound. Miyazaki take full advantage of it.
Did they not stop the game for that?
Yeah, so De Jesus just had to stuff her foot back into the shoe.
She did. She's lucky she didn't have to undo it and tie the laces again.
Hoson wants the instant response, doesn't get it. Okoye and Asahina fight for the rebound. Eventually Motohashi off and running. Asahina. Back-to-back threes not there yet. De Jesus. Both her shoes on, off and running towards the other end. Fajardo finds some space and a three-pointer to go with it. You can see a different look on Coach Aquino's face compared to Coach Onska's face. Todo. Asahina. Motohashi. Fouled as she drove on the baseline.
There was just no split line help there at all. Fajardo actually was following her player, you know, had her back completely to the ball, and you just can't do that. It's got to be team defense.
Motohashi. Okoye. De Jesus with the active hands. Sends it to the backcourt. Philippines fans will be so happy to have her in their team, of course, only naturalised in May. Got that passport and came straight into playing to Australia virtually.
Plays for Duke University and a senior there, and you can just see that her skill level is that of a college, you know, a college player, and she's had a good experience. And she wanted to become part of this Lebanon team. Her parents are sorry, not Lebanon, the Philippines. You know, her parents are Philippine, and she wanted this experience to expand her basketball experience as well. And she figured that she would be able to grow and learn from playing, you know, with this national team in a different environment completely.
Fajardo with the rebound. Couldn't quite get the putback to go with it. Motohashi wants a three-point shot. Doesn't get it. Animam. Bernardino. De Jesus. Back to Fajardo. Goes for a long-range three. That one doesn't connect. Bit of an odd choice of shot there from Fajardo. We'll have some subs. Japan leading 72-51. Akaho back on the floor. The 2021 Asia Cup MVP. And Monica Okoye takes a seat.
And you know, when you look at the average age of Japan, it's 25. You know, they've got, if they can continue to keep this group together, you know, we know they had great result at the Olympics in Tokyo, their home Olympics, and not such a good result at the World Cup, but you know, if they can come out and win this Asia Cup 6 in a row, that would be pretty phenomenal.
Akaho fouled on the way in. Japan have got 4 players born in 2000 or after 2000 in their squad as well. So they've got 4 youngsters there, like you mentioned. 8 represented Japan at the last World Cup and the Olympics, 7 in the 2021 Asia Cup. They've got cohesion, they've got youth, all the good ingredients you need to go 6 in a row, unbelievably.
And that's their goal. That's what they've come here for. They've put together this team. We know that Monica Okoye actually has played some basketball in Australia in our domestic competition, our NBL 1, and you know, she went back in early May to be with her national team to get ready for this Asia Cup, knowing the importance of it and their goal of getting 6 in a row, and then she'll return back and play with her club team in Melbourne.
Averaged 10 points and just under 5 rebounds for Geelong, the team's called, which is in Melbourne, or Victoria. We, of course, playing some hoops in Sydney today. Pontejos can't bank that one in. And a few bodies flying the key. Pontejos was the one with the foul to her name. Coach Onska quite happy, quite measured, quite intent on winning that 6th title. And again, the Japanese players flying from the corner. This time it's Hoshi who gets on the end of it.
We talk about that 6 in a row, but there are a few teams at this tournament that are going to try and make life very difficult for them. And would like to be on that podium instead of Japan. So they certainly have their work cut out for them. And this has been, you know, whilst it's a scoreline of 26 points right now, you know, they've had to still work to get to that.
One of those teams wanting to take the gold medal off them is China, silver medalist in 2021. They're up next against New Zealand. Had a big win yesterday too over Lebanon. So again, some more bench rotations for Japan. Hirashita on the floor. Todo will take a seat. Todo with the 4 points, 3 rebounds and 2 assists. So while the stats don't scream out, they're very impactful. Because they're not just getting points, they're filling up the rebounds column, they're filling up the assists column. Bernardino puts the afterburners on Akaho, and it works out perfectly.
Wow. That's something you love to see at the, you know, halfway mark of the fourth quarter, still going at it hard. Bernardino, I've been impressed with her.
Akaho,
wow.
Been impressed with her as well.
Been impressed with her all the way.
Such a quick release, makes it look so easy out there. De Jesus against Yamamoto. Bernardino, 10 points for her to go with 7 rebounds. Ponteos. Whistle blown. So a foul for Bernardino.
That's her 4th foul.
De Jesus on 3 as well, so just something for Coach Aquino to be mindful of. As you can see, he just takes a deep breath in.
I think you play it out. There's 5 minutes left in the game, less than 5 minutes left in the game, so you leave them on the court, see how they go.
They both remain out there. Castillo comes on the floor though.
Thing about Akaho is that she's good at both ends of the court. You know, she can shoot the 3, but defensively she's just a force defensively, and she's so versatile. And she's very unassuming. You know, she doesn't have her game face is fairly neutral, and she just goes about and plays the game and does a great job.
And just like that, she's the top scorer on the floor. 16 points, 5 from 6 from the field, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, backing up from her 12 points against Chinese Taipei yesterday. 2021 MVP, looking like she's a big chance to back that up. Ponteos, Animam, Castillo calling for it, but Animam goes around Okoye herself. Okoye just went a bit too hard.
Well, I'm glad Animam went to work with that. You know, do something, make the defense force them to either double or come in and help, and then you might have a release pass, or go strongly like she did and draw the foul.
That's Okoye's 3rd foul as well. So a few players on the floor in foul trouble. Castillo, harassed by Hoshi, just has to chuck it up. And Okoye senses Hoshi off and running. Hirashita banks it in. That's every player on Japan's roster scoring today. Hirashita getting her 1st points of the game. Bernardino with the offensive rebound. It gets slapped out of her hands. Hoshi and Hirashita in the front court again. This time it's Yamamoto who gets on the end of it. This is fantastic from the Japanese team.
And this is exactly what the Philippines didn't want. It's been, you know, that 20, 24-point margin, and you don't want it to blow out, because they've actually, you know, played relatively well this whole game.
So the timeout was called as a result of a 10-0 run. Philippines have been outscored 21-5. Let's listen to their timeout.
Vanessa released the ball to the big guy, set screen on this guy. Janine, ikaw gumana. Tapos para meron pa tayo isa pa. Ulit. Ulit. Zoom action. Vanessa, give it up. Send a pick for Janine. gano'n, then pop out. Tira tayo. Huwag ka lang umalis ka na dyan para si April pwedeng gumrito.
Okay.
Here, again, one more. Vanessa giving up, Janine getting down. April, dito ka sa... Para meron tayong gano'n. Getting that FIBA. Jack, just go. Just go. Vanessa up here. Tapos meron tayong pink na gano'n sa kabila. Come on, let's go. Hey, just topping up on defense. Together on three.
So we're looking at a few of the best work of Vanessa De Jesus. 12 points, 4 assists, and 5 from 12 from the field. She's just gone to work once again, backing up her 18 points against Australia last night, Laurie.
Yeah, and she's the engine in this team. You know, they need her firing. They need her controlling tempo. They need the ball in her hands and making those decisions. One thing I'd like to see the Philippines think about is setting this initial screen, if they're going to run a high on-ball screen, a little bit lower, because Japan are going under it. So if you're closer to that three-point line, then you can just, as you can see there, she could pull up on that.
And Ponteos has been pulling up from that range, and now De Jesus has a crack. That one doesn't pay off. Right idea. Hoshi, Okoye, and it's still
not her night.
Hasn't quite connected for her, Okoye. Bernardino calls for it long and banks it in. That's better.
There's those hops we keep seeing from Bernardino. Really deceptive in that.
Bernardino with 4 points for the third period. Philippines have 7 points in total. Hirashita.
Wow.
Now she's getting involved.
She hasn't played a lot of minutes, but she's certainly been impactful when she's come off the bench.
5 points. De Jesus now. Akaho impacted the shot. Hirashita. Akaho now on the offensive end. A great pass to Okoye. Couldn't convert. Offensive rebound nearly. Animam finds it.
It is definitely not Okoye's night. She's got a shooter's mentality, and she will keep shooting the ball.
So will De Jesus. This one doesn't convert either. Okoye harassed by Bernardino. Motohashi there to help. Look at the hops on her as well. Okoye, will she fly? No, this time to Hoshi. Motohashi. Akaho. That one just rattles out. Ponteos, no one ahead of her. So just wants to slow things down. Now getting to work on Akaho, stepping Akaho, gave it to Castillo. And Akaho managed to keep on her toes.
She did, she adjusted, she got pushed, she almost fell, and then she still came up to get a hand on that.
Hirashita, back-to-back threes, if you don't mind. And a few subs now coming out onto the floor for both sides. Japan 93, leading the Philippines 55. A minute 39 left in the fourth period. Japan will go 2 from 2, the Philippines 0-2, so two completely different stories. Philippines take on Chinese Taipei, like you alluded to, Laurie. That becomes very important.
Does, big game.
And then the big clash between Japan and Australia coming up on day 3. Two massive clashes. Ponteos. Toto can't quite keep it in. But a much better effort from the Philippines. As we mentioned, the 34 points in total yesterday, 55 today. And they're going with some belief against Chinese Taipei. Kabinbin. Ponteos. Fouled. So Hirashita cops the foul there.
What I like about both teams, you know, we've got a minute left in this game, and it doesn't matter the scoreline, they're still going hard. So Philippines haven't, you know, put up the flag and dropped their heads at all. They're still going at it. And Japan, they're not going, well, we're ahead by this much. We can just sort of, you know, take the foot off the pedal. You know, they've done a great job as well. They've really, in fact, this third quarter have scored 30 points. Or sorry, fourth quarter.
That's right. Toto. Oh, spinning around De Jesus. The reverse was classy, but just couldn't be finished off. And De Jesus confronted immediately by Hirashita. Sarada. Gets it back to De Jesus. Sarada. Not going to be converted. Hirashita, just like that. Up the opposite end. Up against Ponteos. And Hirashita has come alive in this fourth period. Kabinbin. Not in any particular rush. Ponteos wants to fire another three. This one doesn't get in. Motohashi looks like she's happy to hold it because it's another win for Japan. They go 2 from 2 in this 2023 FIBA Women's Asia Cup tournament. A clash with Australia awaits. It's an exciting time to follow Asian basketball here in Sydney, Australia. A great win by the reigning champions. And in the final score, Japan, 95, defeating the Philippines 57. Here are the stats from the game. Laurie Chiswick, it was a good performance by Japan in the end.
Well, 45 threes they shot at 40%. You've got to be happy with that. And, you know, again, look at that rebound count. They were just relentless on the O boards. And defensively, I don't think the Philippines would have gotten many offensive rebounds. Great contributions from a lot of players in Japan, high score. And we talked about Akaho, how great she is and how versatile she is. But I think if I can say this, and it's a bit cliche, but it really was almost a win-win for both teams. And I know that's, you know, the Philippines aren't going to feel that, but the fact that they scored 57 points compared to their 34 yesterday, and just the way they went about the game, I think that Patrick Kino would be really relatively happy with that. You always want to win, you'll always look to be better. And the same with the Japanese team. Again, they did what they needed to get this job done. They got a lot of players into the game. A lot of players were involved in the game. And again, they're building. They're building towards the pointy end of the tournament. Building towards tomorrow's big game against Australia, which, you know, and then again, a big game for the Philippines against the Chinese Taipei. And that's assuming that Australia win tonight, that's the scenario we're going to be looking at. But I think both teams can take a lot from today's match.
Well, that fourth quarter, you're looking at the best plays. It belonged to Japan, 29 points to 9. And in the end, it was Hirashita that really let it fly, 10 points from her. Japan had 4 players in double figures. Akaho with 16, Yamamoto with 15, Hayashi with 11, and then Hirashita with 10, like I just spoke about. So even contributions, they all scored, and now they prepare for a big clash, prime time with Australia tomorrow night.
Well, and you have to say that they stuck to their game plan the whole time, and really, which is their game style, rebound and run. Get the ball up the floor, spread it out, look at your three-point shooters, penetrate and pitch it out. But their three-point shooting, to take 40-some-odd points at 40% is a great result for them.
Coach Onska would be pretty happy with that result. 2 from 2. He wants to go 6 from 6 if you're looking at tournament wins. And the Philippines just hoping to avoid that relegation. They want to prove they belong in Division A.
And they've been here for a number of years, so they've tasted what it's like to be here, and they want to stay here. They don't want to get relegated. They're trying to build in their program, and so you want to play the best teams. You want to play in the best competition, and so certainly that will be their focus for tomorrow's game.
Here are the standings for Group B. Japan 2 from 2 on top of the table. Australia second. They'll be chasing their tails. Philippines third, and now Chinese Taipei dropped to fourth. But they have a big clash tonight with Australia, 7:30 p.m. local time. And up next it is New Zealand and China in Group A. So from Sydney, Australia, it was Japan getting the job done. 95-57 over the Philippines. A great win by Toru Onska's team. And we're going to say goodbye from Sydney and get to the next game. Keep it on courtside 1891. For now, Japan getting the 38-point win over the Philippines.